Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment, and of course here we are with the DC up and running Peacemaker out there doing whatever the hell it's doing. I don't think it's doing great, but they're trying to tell you, oh, it's doing better than last season, even though the numbers actually go to the final episode of last season, not the overall season. Of course, Superman was out there, didn't make its money back, it's actually losing money, but they're not going to tell you that either. But through all the things that's happening, Supergirl on its way, Clayface has started filming, all of this stuff, Lanterns of course on its way, we still don't have a Batman. Now we know The Batman Part 2 is happening and that will be filming next year, but they've been adamant that that is not crossing over into the DCU, that's staying as Elseworlds. But names, of course, are still getting floated about. And one name that was coming up was none other than Reacher himself, Alan Ritchson. And he has now confirmed meetings with James Gunn. So will he actually play Batman? Because there's another name that's been getting floated about recently, Chris Pratt. But let's have a look and see exactly what's happening here. Because Alan Ritchson is confirming the meetings and James Gunn has responded to the Chris Pratt rumor, so let's have a look. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding DC Studios' plans for Batman. The Brave and the Bold was announced at the start of 2023, but hasn't taken shape since then, and now appears to be less of a priority than the recently announced Wonder Woman movie. Now, there's a few reasons for that. Number one is that James Gunn decided to remove the likes of Andy Muschietti from having any involvement, and he is taking full control to write the story and has come out and admitted, yeah, I can't crack Batman. So it's like, would that not be a good indication then to give it to someone who can? But no, his ego has taken over and he's gone balls to the wall to try and get this done. The other reason is because The Batman Part 2 is going to be getting made, and they're not going to cross two Batmans pretty much at the same time. Wouldn't work. But anyway, the intention is to tell the story of Bruce Wayne learning he has a son, Damian, whom he then trains as Robin. It's a simple story on the surface, but one DC Studios is struggling to figure out. No, sorry, DC Studios isn't struggling to figure it out. James Gunn is struggling to figure it out. So surely not helping matters is that Matt Reeves' highly anticipated The Batman sequel is on track for a 2027 release. Which is funny how they're saying that's not helping matters when this was in place long before James Gunn was ever brought in. So with Robert Pattinson unlikely to play the DCU's Dark Knight, fans have been attempting to figure out who would be a suitable choice to don the cape and cowl. Brandon Skilnar, is that how you pronounce the second name? Jensen Ackles and Alan Ritchson are among the names frequently suggested online, with the latter among the most popular possibilities. The Titans and Reacher star would be a suitable, formidable Batman, but is he the right fit for Bruce? Well, the debate may be over. Talking to Variety, Richardson confirmed that he's met with DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn, and while they discussed Batman, it seems another character now lies in his future. So the actor shared, well, it's not rumoured that James Gunn is a fan. He said it himself. And I am a fan of James Gunn, absolutely. I don't want to mislead people. Words have been exchanged about Batman, but I strongly don't think that Batman is in my future. I do think there is something in my future with DC, and I would like that to remain true. Now, before we go on, I think that's interesting wording he uses there, to say, I don't think that Batman's in my future. So that doesn't mean that, unless the conversation, of course, well, in saying that, what I was going to say there is, if the conversation was about Batman and James Gunn saying to him, look, I think you could fit in somewhere in the DCU, but I just don't see it as Batman. I think he would have come out and said, we discussed Batman, but it's not in my future. He's very much thinking of a different direction, and that's where he's saying my future could lie somewhere else. It's the fact that he only says, I strongly don't think that Batman is in my future. And then to say, I do think there's something in my future with the company. And then the weird part of the wording here is, and I would like that to remain true. So is it the case of James Gunn hinted to him, hey, I wouldn't mind giving you this, but he doesn't have all that much confidence in actually being given the role? I really don't know. It's weird. But, and so is the fact that he doesn't flat out say, oh yeah, we discussed Batman, but it's a no. He's just saying, I don't think that's in my future. So it very well could still be him. So it's saying, so no Batman, but the door is open to him doing something in the DCU. Aquaman would be a good fit. They do realize, and clearly they don't because they don't bring it up in here, he has played Aquaman. In Titans, he was Aquaman. I'm pretty sure it was Titans that he was Aquaman in. Or was it one of the others? It actually could have been Green Arrow. It could have been. It was one of them anyway that he was Aquaman in. And it says, as would Green Arrow, but only time will tell whether Gunn was serious about bringing him into this shared world. So again, you're even seeing there where they're saying, like, it'd be interesting if they bring him in, which kind of goes with what he was saying himself, which I hope it remains to be true. And that, of course, brings us to the story of Chris Pratt being floated about as possibly being Batman. But Gunn has shot that down, apparently, by saying James Gunn has put an end to one of the internet's wildest fan casting rumours. Chris Pratt will not be Batman in the DC universe. But before you cross Pratt off your DCU bingo card, Gunn has already made clear that doesn't mean the Guardians of the Galaxy star won't show up somewhere else down the line. So it's another carefully chosen statement from the filmmaker now steering Warner Brothers Discovery superhero slate, and one that leaves plenty of room for speculation about what kind of role Pratt could end up playing. So Gunn basically said, as Batman, no. As someone else, yes. So there you go. He is pretty much saying, no, look, Chris Pratt, great friend, blah, blah, blah. He's not going to be Batman in our universe, but he could be someone else. So curious as to who he could possibly be. But you notice that it's not a flat out no about Alan Ritchson. Now, the fact that he is a name that has been getting floated about quite a lot for Batman, that all of a sudden he was actually brought in for a meeting, and as they say there, we did discuss Batman. It's strange. It's a strange thing because he's the only name that we've heard that's been attached to Batman that's now actually had a meeting about Batman. Well, we're not sure if it was about Batman. They just say we did exchange things about Batman. So we don't know. We really just don't know at this stage. Again, he would be a great fit for Batman. He's got the size, the build, the look, all that stuff. But as this does bring up, and a lot of us have been asked that question, is can he pull off the Bruce Wayne element? And that's the thing. I had that same feeling with Ben Affleck. I was like, oh, he could be a great Bruce Wayne. But what happens when he puts the cowl on? Can he pull off being Batman? It's vice versa here with Alan Ritchson. So we'll have to wait and see. But he has confirmed he has had an official meeting with James Gunn himself. And Chris Pratt won't be Batman, but may very well be someone else in the DCU. So let us know what you think about all of this, and who would you choose to be Batman in the DCU's Batman? Just keep in mind that this is a Batman that's going to have a kid who should be around 14, 15 maybe, to become Robin, which also means they're casting the 5th Robin out of all of the Robins straight away, which is ridiculous. But let us know who you would pick. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.